Well, Tim McElroy, great to see you again. The last time I saw you was in Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, yes.
And we were there for the senior softball as well as the ISA annual conference and Hall of Fame. And Tim, just seems like it was yesterday, and here we are, you know, in the latter part of January. You're here for the Tournament of Champions, the most prestigious event in senior softball in the world. I mean, and he's the tournament director. Imagine that. Unbelievable. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're really excited about this tournament this year. I was talking earlier. We've I did a little homework. We have 105 teams this year, 29 states represented. I think we have 3 or 4 from Canada in addition to that. We've got teams from New Hampshire, Idaho, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, New Mexico. We've got them from everywhere. And so far, you know, the weather hasn't been our friend, but the teams are really enjoying the town. I know they're out and about the restaurants and things like that.
Stimulating the local economy.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, a little drizzly, but today and this weekend, absolutely perfect. So it'll be great for softball. And Jack, you know, this is one of your favorites too.
This is absolutely one of my favorites. The weather hopefully will hold out for you guys, but you know, going to the home run derby, watching the skill stuff. Yeah. These guys really, they take a lot of pride in their game, and
Absolutely.
all different ranges of ages. So
yeah, so we have men and women's. We begin at the age of 40 with our senior program, all the way up through. We have 3 or 4 teams in the 85-year-old division this year. So it's pretty amazing. You know, when I talk to the guys from the 85s division, I say, how do you do it? How do you keep playing? What don't stop moving. You know, if they're not playing softball, they're playing pickleball or something else. You know, that appears to be the key because these guys are in great shape and they're moving constantly.
yeah, I mean they're covering a lot of ground fielding. They're really they're still. It's amazing really watching them. So
Well, and Tim, I think that when you take a look at the sport of softball from the 30,000-foot level, of course, senior softball is growing by leaps and bounds. But then you have, it doesn't get a lot of visibility, but the female softball, I was there last night at the opening ceremonies and banquets and awards and all of that type of stuff. There's a lot of young ladies playing in seniors. They didn't look like they were seniors, you know, great shape, but they were out there ripping it up in that skills competition too.
They did. They were spectacular. They stood out in the skills competitions. I think and we have one of the skills competitions we run is base running speed, where they basically go from home to home on an inside the parker, and they'll still be timed. The fastest time, male or female, came from one of the ladies. I believe she's from a team out of Washington State, but I think she went around the base.
Johnson, is that her name?
I believe so. Yeah, I think she was like 14.6 seconds from home to home.
Wow.
I mean, she was moving.
Yeah,
she was moving.
Well, then there's a real big guy too, shaved head. I mean, this guy was big. He's like 6'4", maybe.
I honestly thought we read the wrong cue card because he looked too big to be that fast.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
Be a good defensive lineman.
Yeah,
you figured it was a home run tournament. Out there on bases.
Yeah, I thought he came at the wrong time, but yeah, he was the fastest male, and he was a big fella.
So tell us a little bit about the way the actual competition works. It's broken down into age groups and.
Okay, yeah. So senior softball, generally speaking, it's broken down in 5-year increments. You'll have 50s, 55s, 60s, and then within each 5-year age range, we also do a slight breakdown of talent. Here you got your above average or average and slightly below average groups to keep guys competitive and keep games to the point where people want to keep coming back, and it's worked out pretty well. Wherever we go around the country, we use a similar format, either a 4 or 5 game guarantee, and it gives them a chance to meet new friends, play games against different teams, and find out where they fit in the pecking order. So that when we get to the Tournament of Champions, you're playing against people of like age, like skill, and it's competitive for everybody and worth their time and dollars.
Yeah, we should probably qualify a little bit that these teams are literally the best in that have played.
Yes.
Competed this year. So.
Right. So on a calendar basis, in order to qualify for the Tournament of Champions here in Polk County, you had to have won one of our 14 qualifiers held elsewhere around the country during the year. So you can't just, mail in an entry fee and participate. That's one of the things our owner Terry Hennessy has been real strong about. He says it's not the tournament of almost champions. You have to earn your way to be here, and He's been a strong proponent of that, and it's really worked out. And
Tim, you've been around we've known each other for a long time, and softball is one of those cradle to grave sports. You can play as a little kid, or you can, even compete there's people into the 90s, I remember, from this tournament before. I don't know if they're still around or not, but the fact of the matter is, you've got a background in softball that is pretty phenomenal. How did you get started in softball, and then how did you get involved with Senior Softball USA? Because there's a lot of folks that say, hey, I think I can throw, I think I can still hit, I may want to get involved. What's your story?
My backstory is I started playing ball and umpiring back when I was 18 or 19, which would have been early 90s. I'm 55 now. But I started playing back then. It was a combination of, I ran tournaments to make money for my own team so we could afford to play somewhere else. I started umpiring because I enjoyed the game, wanted to make a little college money for the evenings, the Thursday night cash. So as I moved up to the Northeast, and I had an opportunity to work with the ISA. So I worked with some folks like Claude Molinex we talked about yesterday, and Don Stratton from here in Bartow.
Bartow guy.
Bartow's finest, right?
Yeah.
So I was an ISA guy for a while. Then he introduced me to Terry Hennessy with Senior Softball USA, and that's been about almost 20 years now I've been involved with senior softball at various levels, progressing through the ranks, a director, player, umpire, UIC, that kind of thing. So for me, it's been a 20-year journey to this point, and I enjoy it. I really do.
And we'll give everyone a little peek under the tent here. So, being a director on a tournament like this number of teams, this number of fields, weather, field factors, all of that comes into play for you.
It is a challenge. This morning it was about 5:30. We were communicating with the directors, our site directors at each field, the maintenance staff at each field. We talk to them in advance. We look at the weather and we make projections. And we have a great scheduler back in the office in California, Dave Dow. And when I'm on the road here now, weather breaks, and with the time change, he's 3 hours behind us. So I'll get my computer out and I'll start making changes and move accordingly. But today started about 5:30, and I assume there are more changes coming, but all for the positive.
Yeah. Where are you playing? What fields are
We are
Polk
this
County?
week. We are at Auburndale Sports Complex behind the Speedway, Winter Haven Diamondplex. We are at Loyce Hart Park off of Carter Road in Lakeland, and we're also using Walker Road. So we have 17 diamonds going over the next 3 days, and we'll be playing 8 a.m. each morning through 8 p.m. is our last scheduled start each night. So
You got the lights on, especially this time of year.
And that Diamondplex, I mean, Diamondplex is great. Auburndale is great. I mean, Walker Road is a spectacular facility that a lot of people don't even know is out there. So
out of sight, out of mind type of thing.
Yeah, it is another nice facility. What's it? I think 3 or 4 years it's been open now, I guess, maybe.
Well, this will be a perfect segue to one of our next guests, Missy Harbin, with Parks and Rec, and she'll give us some insights on that too, along with some other stuff. But as I've watched for 30-some years now, the sport of senior softball growing, just a phenomenal program that you guys run. I mean, this is the premier program in the world.
Thank you.
Based out of Sacramento, California. And I talked about it earlier, just a few minutes ago, about getting involved. I mean, you got involved as a coach, as a player, as an umpire. I mean, all of this type of stuff. If people want to get more information, where do they go to get that information?
To reach out to Senior Softball USA, our national website is seniorsoftball.com. The best way to email us is honestly info@seniorsoftball.com, and then the folks on the receiving end in California, they'll disperse it depending on what the question is or the region of the country you live in. They'll filter it to our regional UICs. We have 6 or 8 of those across the country, and they're responsible for building their own umpire corps in their assigned region. We also have regional directors who put on not only nationally hosted events, but their own local qualifiers, things of that nature. So basically, if you go through the Sacramento office at info@seniorsoftball.com, they'll put you in contact with the right person depending on where you live or where your phone call is coming from.
Well, and what a staff they have. You got Franny and Dave Dowd.
Yep.
I mean, just they're the minute you see them, you start laughing. They're just funny. But boy, they are good. And then of course the owner, the president, Terry Hennessy. I can't say enough good things about Terry. What a quality guy he is. I never cease to be amazed, at the quality of these tournaments, how well they're run. Obviously, guys like Tim, making sure that they're running appropriately, safely for all the athletes. This is great stuff. Tim, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.